Mechanical properties of solids. The focus area is stress. Consider an object. Let a force be applied on the body. If this force is strong enough, then one of the possibilities is that the force may change the state of motion of the object. If the object is at rest, it will start moving. And if that object was in motion, then the force may change its velocity and the body may be accelerated. But if that system or the object or the body is under static equilibrium and a force be applied on it, then another possibility that can happen is the body may get deformed. Here you could see that spherical body gets deformed to oval shape. Deformation means the change in the size of the body, the change in shape of a body, the change in volume of a body, the change in length of a body, or any of the dimensions may change. Or the configuration of the system may change. So, when forces are applied on the body in such a manner that the body is still in static equilibrium, it is deformed to a small or large extent depending upon the nature of the material of the body and the magnitude of deforming force. But sometimes that deformation may not be noticeable. That is, if the body is highly rigid and if you apply a deforming force, certainly the body will get deformed. But since the deformation is very, very small, it cannot be noticeable. So the deformation may not be noticeable visually in many materials, but it is there. Let us consider a spring of normal size. Let a force be applied on the spring system. Let it be a stretching force. Then we know that the spring will get stretched, the length increases. The external force applied on that spring system is called deforming force because it deforms the original configuration of the system. Now, when this deforming force is removed, the spring regains its original size or dimension. That means it comes to its normal state. This is because when a deforming force is applied, simultaneously an internal force is developed within the spring, which is called a restoring force, which is equal in magnitude and opposite to deforming force at that time. This restoring force brings the system back to its normal state once the deforming force is removed. This is the case with most of the elastic materials or rigid bodies. That is, when a body is subjected to a deforming force, a restoring force is developed in the body. This restoring force is equal in magnitude but opposite in direction to the applied force. The restoring force per unit area is known as stress. So, the definition of stress is, it's not the deforming force per unit area, it is actually the restoring force developed in the body per unit area of it. That is what is called stress. But when we calculate it, we used to take the magnitude of deforming force, assuming that the magnitude of restoring force at that instant is equal to deforming force. But in definition, stress is defined as restoring force per unit area. If F is the force applied normal to the cross section and A is the area of cross section of the body, then magnitude of the stress equals F by A, F divided by A, the total normal force divided by the total area. So it is the normal force per unit area. The SI unit of stress is Newton per meter square or Pascal. And the dimensional formula is m L raised to minus 1 T raised to minus 2. So the dimensions of stress are 1 in mass, minus 1 in length and minus 2 in time. The stress developed in a body depends upon how the external forces are applied over it. That is very important. On this basis, there are three types of stresses. There are two types of stresses. The first one is normal stress and the second one is shear or tangential stress. In normal stress, the force is applied normal to the surface of the body, either at one of the cross-sectional area or all over the body. But the force should be normal to the area. You can see in the figure, the force applied is normal to the surface area of the body. Now, normal stress is of two types: longitudinal stress and bulk or volume stress. You can call it as bulk stress or volume stress. Hydraulic stress is also another name given for volume stress. Now let us discuss longitudinal stress. It occurs only in solids and comes into picture when one of the three dimensions, length, breadth, height, is much greater than the other two. Sometimes the length will be very large compared to breadth and height of the body, or the breadth may be very large compared to the length and height. Deforming force is applied parallel to the length and causes change in length. You can see the force is parallel to the length and perpendicular to one of the cross-sectional area of the cylinder. And the area taken for calculation of stress is the area of cross-section on which that normal force is applied at. Longitudinal stress is further classified into two, called tensile stress. Longitudinal stress produced due to increase in length of a body under a deforming force is called tensile stress. Here you can see that in the figure, the forces are normal and it stretches the body. That is, the force is outward normal to the body. The second one is called compressive stress. The longitudinal stress produced due to decrease in length of a body under a deforming force is called compressive stress. Here that normal force compress the body. Next we will see bulk or volume stress, or otherwise called hydraulic stress. It occurs in solids, liquids and gases. In case of fluids, only bulk stress can be found. Deforming force is applied normal to surface at all points. That is, the deforming force is applied at every point on its surface. You have an object. Here the deforming force is applied over the entire surface area. Area for calculation of stress is the complete surface area perpendicular to the applied force. It produces change in volume and density, shape remaining the same. So we can call this volume stress as pressure. So it is equal to change in pressure because change in pressure is responsible for change in volume. Next, shear or tangential stress. It comes into picture when successive layers of solid move on each other. That is, when there is a relative displacement between various layers of the solid. One layer moves over the other, and hence there is a relative displacement between the various layers of solid. Here, deforming force is applied tangential to one of the faces. Consider a book of sufficient thickness or height, and it is placed on a table. A tangential force is applied on the top surface of the book. Then you could see that the upper surface moves, it gets displaced relative to the lower surface which is in contact with the table. So the different layers of the book moves and there is a relative displacement between various layers of solid. The area for calculation is the area of the face on which force is applied. In this case, it is the area of the top surface of the book where the tangential force is applied. It produces change in shape, volume remaining the same.